Mr. Dennett, I would like to address my first question to you. In 2003, during Small Business Week, President Bush, in announcing his commitment to small business agenda, he said, and I quote, "Wherever possible, we're going to break down large federal contracts so that small business owners get a fair shot at serving the needs of the nation." That was in 2003. In 2005, OMB sent a memo to all the federal agencies asking them to implement strategic sourcing. My question to you is, if the President said that we are supposed to break up large contracts, is in strategic sourcing counter to that directive?
I don't believe so. In fact, the thing we put out on strategic sourcing we have is one of the criteria that people look at when they pursue strategic sourcing is to see the impact of small business. In fact, we want them to look at what portion of business, what portion of the dollars currently go to small business, and then when they do a strategic sourcing initiative, that the percentage will stay the same or improve, not go down. And thus far, we've been very successful with strategic sourcing. The ones that we've initially done, in fact, have increased small business. So as long as we keep reminding people of the importance of that and that strategic sourcing is not to hurt small business, the early data that I'm getting from different departments is, in fact, the small business numbers have gone up. So we're just going to have to keep reminding them.
What? I'm sorry. Who is telling you that the small business contracts
on strategic sourcing?
Uh-huh.
Well, you know, for example, we did office supplies strategic sourcing.
Okay. So you're telling me that strategic sourcing does not prevent more small businesses getting a higher number of federal contracts?
I'm saying
and that is why every year, including last fiscal year, when we release our scorecard regarding federal procurement practices, it shows that the federal government has not accomplished small business contracting goals of 23%. So you're telling me that the fact that the federal government hasn't reached the contracting goal of 23% has nothing to do with strategic sourcing?
I'm saying strategic sourcing in most instances has helped small business.
Can you tell me the number of contracts awarded to small businesses is not going down while the amount of money spent in federal contracting dollars is going up?
In the strategic sourcing area, we can say that. Overall, I mean, Administrator Preston, I know, is working real hard to try to increase the number of dollars that are going through small business. He's utilizing a scorecard system, which is holding agencies more accountable to put more pressure on them to find more opportunities.
This is after the General Inspector of the SBA came out with a report that showed that $12 billion that were intended to go to small businesses went to large firms, what we call miscoded. Were you aware of that?
I'm aware that there was a coding problem and that Administrator Preston worked very aggressively with the departments to have them call through their data, correct any errors that they made, and so that we could have correct numbers.
Okay. Thank you. In your testimony, you mentioned that you worked with the SBA administrator to increase the number of SBA Procurement Center representatives, CPR. The SBA budget imposed a cap of 60 PCRs, in 1993, when the federal marketplace was half the size it is now. There were 68. Is the SBA ignoring the recommendations of OFPP?
No, they're not. I asked them to increase, and that was this past year. They were going down, as you've already stated, and I was concerned by that, so I pressed them to increase the number, and I'm told that they in fact have increased the number. It's still not as large as the reference year that you were using, but they did increase it by 3 or 4 after I urged them to do so.
Can you tell us if you recommended a figure, a number?
I did not. I just said that it seemed to me that using the logic that you had just described, the dollars had gone up. They serve a very useful purpose. Can we not have more of them? And I'm told we in fact now do have more of them.
So you're telling me that the cap that they impose of 60 is no longer in place, that they're going to increase the number?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they increased the number over what they had the previous year, in part from my urging.
I want to see that. In your testimony, you also mentioned that you launched the Small Business Procurement Scorecard in partnership with the SBA and formed a small business team within the FAR Council. 3 of the agencies on the FAR Council small business team received red small business scores on the procurement scorecard, the lowest score, which can be interpreted as a failing grade. Do you find it ironic that the team that is supposed to help small businesses is not receiving a passing grade?
You mean members of that team? Well,
the agencies that are part of FAR.
I would hope that they're just more motivated, having gotten a failing grade, that working with us on regulations, they can help come out with regulations that will foster an atmosphere to assist small business quicker.
Sir, it's not enough for us, for you to come here and say that you hope that they're doing, that they will do much better.
Well, they will do better, but the fact
because
that
there's small businesses that are suffering because of the fact that the federal government is failing them at a time when the economy is in bad shape. We have to get the federal agencies to do better. So to issue press releases saying we're going to do this because we're going to increase and help small businesses, and then when I ask you that the team that is supposed, all those federal agencies are getting a red score, it's just enough. We need some oversight from the federal government.
I will give it oversight. I'm looking at what the team's results are. I'm told that we're now moving things that help small business faster as a result of this team. Certainly some of the members are going to come from departments that have not had good scores, but the whole aggregate of the team, they've been given clear orders to do what they can to help small business, and that's what they're going to do.
Thank you. Mr. Williams, GSA claims that e-travel helps small businesses because more small firms are eligible for contracts. In 2004, before e-travel, only 13 small businesses were eligible, and that has now increased to 34. However, an increase in the potential bidders has not correlated to an increase in business, which is the true measure of whether or not this works for small firms. In 2006, small travel agents received less than 1% of the dollars awarded on the e-travel TSS schedule. So can you tell me how does this demonstrate fair opportunity?
Yes, Madam Chairwoman. In 2004, those 13 firms that received the travel agency contracts received sales of about $26 million. That's in 2004. In 2006, the 16 companies that now receive dollars under travel agency business is about $80 million. And it is true what you said, under the travel services schedule, the TSS, those companies are not getting a lot of business. It is what you said. However, the $80 million that they're getting is under our e-travel initiative. They're getting that in a subcontract role primarily. So they are getting dollars. We would like to see small businesses get more direct prime contracts from the federal government. And that's why we have the TSS schedule.
Yeah.
Well,
so
we're also
in conclusion, since I'm going to recognize Mr. Chabot, you're telling me that you're proud of the fact that 98.9 of the dollar went to 6 large corporations.
No, we are not.
Okay.